Hi, I am James Kotecki, host of the C-Space Studio here at CES 2020, and my guest here is Bridget Hall, the CMO of Bell Flight. Welcome to the studio. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Bell Flight, what is that brand for those of us who have never, who aren't familiar with it? We've probably seen some of the things that you produce. We were talking about before we started this chat here. So what is Bell Flight?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for those of you who maybe knew us previously, you may have recognized us as Bell Helicopter. What we are at our core is a technology company made up of true aviation pioneers. We're really looking at redefining the experience of flight. So we've been on a journey over the last several years where we have gone from being a sort of aerospace and defense manufacturer, but as we continue to look at the market and look at what opportunities were out there, we realized that there's so much more that we can be doing, that we can be providing in terms of vertical lift. And we see the solutions to some of the world's biggest challenges are in the sky. And so Bell is now a technology company focused on redefining the experience of flight.
So tell me why you're here at CES. Last year, I believe you unveiled a groundbreaking vehicle, and this year at CES, what are you doing?
Yeah, so this is actually our third year at CES. So the first year, it was really about bringing our vision for the future of mobility to kind of this audience, this group of early adopters, and really talking about the passenger experience and talking about building from the inside out, and what would this look like in kind of this future urban air mobility space. Last year, as you mentioned, we unveiled the vehicle that will revolutionize the way that people are transporting through our skies in the future. And this year, we're really excited to be talking about the entire ecosystem. So in addition to having the next variant of Nexus, we have the Nexus 4EX, which is, our teams have been working really hard since we unveiled last year. They've been proving out technologies, they've been testing the aircraft, and they now have a new variant, which is the 4EX, as I mentioned, that's on display in our space. So it's 4 ducted instead of 6 ducted. An electric version. So last year we had a hybrid version. This year it's all electric.
What is ducted mean? You mean it's got
you're
talking about ducts?
Fans.
Like, oh,
yeah,
ducted
so
fans.
there
Okay.
are, one of the big things that we're looking at from a technology perspective is how do we make this efficient? How do we make it safe? How do we make it ecological? And so with the ducted fan version, you have a nice, it helps with the noise canceling inside the aircraft. So it'll actually be something that will fit right in with the ambient noise of our cities today. So we have that. We also are looking at some of the invisible things, some of the background pieces that are going to bring this technology to bear in the future. So our Aeros, which is the backbone behind all of this, all of the Nexus, it's from fleet management software. It is looking at how you will move goods in and out. It's all of the background software that you have in order to make everything from rideshare to make the system work. So we've got a whole city that's on display that we would love everyone to come out and take a look at.
So flying cars are kind of a signifier of the future, at least they have been since the Jetsons, if not before that. Do you, as a marketer, do you embrace that term? Is it really the wrong term to use? Because obviously it's not exactly the same as a flying car that people might imagine from Back to the Future or something, right? Like that. So how much do you kind of embrace this sci-fi fantasy world of flying cars? And how much as a marketer are you needing to show people the reality of what's going on?
Yeah, so I think, what Bell has always, our philosophy has been is we are going to bring to market a safe, capable, certifiable, commercially viable aircraft. And that's what we have here. So we use terms that are commercially viable terms, things like unmanned air vehicle, autonomous aircraft. And so really what we want to do is, this is a great opportunity, this is a great stage to have conversations about the benefits of flight and what this technology will bring, and demonstrating really to our communities that this is safe, it's going to be affordable, it's going to be economical, and it's going to be a reliable form of transport in the future.
And who are the buyers for this? Is it going to be an individual family like the Jetsons having their own Bell Nexus, or is it going to be fleets primarily that are using this, Ubers, Lyfts, rideshare vehicle systems like that?
I think it's a little bit too early to tell. I think the realistic place is probably it's going to be more of a fleet that you get in and that you know it's more of a ride share. I mean, the reality is if you look at the world, we're all moving toward that in general anyway, right? Not many people own vehicles. Not as many new folks are driving. I have nieces who are waiting to get their driver's license. They'd rather have somebody else drive them around if they can. So I think we're having much more into a shared economy. And so I do think that you're going to have much more, the buyers are going to be folks that are in this shared economy space.
And as a marketer, how do you think about shaping people's perceptions as far as safety? I know that with autonomous vehicles, generally, even the ones that might drive around on the road, there's a concern around safety, obviously, there, and people maybe not willing to get in them, maybe not at first, trying to test it out. So how do you think about safety concerns as a marketer in this space, especially when you're dealing with something that flies?
So for Bell, we've an 80-year history, right? We've been making things fly for 80 plus years. So we know how to do it. We know how to do it safely. We know how to do it reliably. We stand behind our products, and we always have. So really, it's about exposure. It's about how do we demonstrate this capability. So one of the things that we're looking at in this coming year is how do we take, beyond Nexus, we also have aircraft that we're working on that are unmanned aerial vehicles called the APT, that is more of a goods and product moving logistics type aircraft. And so what we're doing is how do we find an aviation corridor, we can just demonstrate it, right? It's about exposure. It's about getting people to come to things like CES and see the aircraft on display, getting to experience it for themselves, and then also seeing it flying and seeing it in real world application.
You got to get people used to the future.
Absolutely.
So the laws, the regulations, the social and even ethical understandings around this, those things will all have to change too, right? I mean, you mentioned that you have kind of an infrastructural backbone that you're displaying this year from a software perspective, but there's even a much broader piece of the puzzle that a lot more stakeholders beyond any given company need to come to the table for, right?
Absolutely, and those conversations are happening. Are they happening at the speed that we need them? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But the reality is that people are coming together, and that is what CES is also here for us. It is about getting the people together to have the conversations, to increase transparency, to show here's what we're capable of, here's what we can do. We each have our own niche to play, but we need to be in this conversation together, and we need to be working together to make this future of mobility happen. And they're happening today, right? Regulators are coming. We just had a great panel in our space with the cities. We had 2 mayors from around DFW area, Arlington and Fort Worth. We had DFW Airport there. We had Hillwood, which is a real estate developer in the DFW area, all sitting there talking. It was an incredible conversation about how are we going to do this together.
And it's amazing to think of the number of consequences that will come out of having the ability to move people in these new ways. Real estate is a great example of where do I need to build neighborhoods? How do I build neighborhoods and homes? Can I build further away from city centers now because people have more access to them? Does that change the dynamics of urban life? It's so fascinating. It
is, and the great thing is that everybody is ready and willing to have the conversation. So everyone asks, when is this happening? When do you really see it? Well, now I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you that. I do think we will have a flying aircraft in the mid to late 2020s. The reality is how fast can the infrastructure get there? How fast can the surrounding environment be ready? And the great thing is that we're all here, we're all having the conversations, and we're all diving in and leaning in and willing to help one another get there.
So one more question for you before we go. You are the CMO. One thing we're asking people here in the C-Space studio, what does that title mean to you, and how do you see that title changing?
That's a great question. For me, it's really about experience, and I think we're seeing a lot of that change, right? We're looking at marketing, I think, is coming about how do we create shared experiences, how do we create connections and bring people together, and doing that in a way that allows your product, your company, your brand to kind of manifest itself to its true kind of potential. And so really, I think what we're looking at and what we're doing is, whether it's our internal employees, whether it's our customers, whether it's our shareholders, how do we create shared experiences that really have an impact on the world and on where we're going as a society.
And it's maybe easier to do when your actual product is going to have an impact on bringing people together as a society too.
Absolutely.
So Bridget Hall of Bell Flight, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For joining us here in C-Space Studio. I am James Kotecki, the host of the C-Space Studio here at CES 2020. Keep it right here because live streamed conversations with some of the world's most influential media and marketing leaders are just ahead.